Now you're looking for trouble condition.
Hello and welcome to another episode of American Werewolves, where we talk all things horror. I am Brandon.
And I am Jerry.
And we are back with a new movie review. It has been a while since we got to sit down and talk about, anything on this show. Life kind of caught up. We got a little busy, but we are back and we are ready to talk about The Watchers. This is the latest from... I am so sorry. I completely was not prepared. I should have pulled up this movie because I know it is a Shyamalan, but I already forgot their name. We're professional here. Ashana Shyamalan, the daughter of M. Night Shyamalan, who, is very popular for his horror and thriller films such as The Sixth Sense, Signs, Split, Unbreakable. Not so popular with Lady in the Water and The Village. But now he's producing this one with his daughter taking the reins for writing and directing this. The Watchers is the latest thriller to come out this year, and it is about a young artist who gets stranded in an extensive, immaculate forest in Western Ireland, where, after finding shelter, she becomes trapped alongside three strangers stalked by mysterious creatures each night. Now, we saw the trailer for this. This movie was being pushed a lot in the theater this year. I saw it quite a few times where I can almost say the lines almost beat for beat half the time whenever I saw it pop up in the theater on screen. How were you feeling about the trailers before you watched this movie?
They were interesting.
Yeah.
The trailers definitely hooked me to want to see the film. I just, after seeing the film, the trailers they're very misleading.
Yeah, either they're very misleading, or they're just being straight up honest, a little maybe too honest, where I guess we thought we were expecting, because the way I saw it, I was expecting a little more with this movie.
Yeah.
And I kind of got exactly what I expected, and not in a good way. But before we go any further, I guess I'm going to have to be completely transparent about my viewing experience with this film. And I know you didn't have the best viewing experience either. I know you, spoiler alert, I know you were kind of bored watching this movie.
Yeah.
I was fairly bored too, but I made a huge mistake with this movie. I went in to a theater in the middle of a Saturday, not realizing it was a PG-13 horror film. And I was stuck behind an entire row of high schoolers. Yeah, high schoolers or middle schoolers. And the moment I saw all of them in the line in front of me buying tickets, I was like, it's going to be one of those, isn't it? And yeah, I have to be honest, my viewing experience, it's going to affect this review a little bit, but honestly, I feel like if I sat down and watched this movie again, I would still have the same exact thoughts as I do for this film. But yeah, it was a packed theater, all front row full of teenagers, all of them talking, all of them laughing, all of them literally standing up, walking around back and forth, trying to make their friends laugh. Literally two of them looking back at me because I'm in one of those sections, that section where the handicap seats are.
Yeah,
and then there's the two seats on the corner that you don't have to be handicapped to sit there.
Yeah.
I was sitting there because everything else is packed, so that was the only seat I can get, and I just had these kids just staring at me. I'm like, what the fuck?
Was yours not a reserve seat showing?
It was, but I bought the ticket late because I had a free AMC ticket. So I had to go to the theater to actually use it there and pick my seat and all that stuff. So I didn't want to buy it too in advance for that. But yeah, it was just not a good experience. I was like on one side, and you had like these group of teenagers just acting a fool. So I had to go all the way to the other side of that row I was in. And those teenagers were just acting a fool and talking throughout. And I could not hear or understand anything going on in the damn screen. So I left during the final act, like the turning point of the movie. And I just went home. And I'm going to be honest, I just pulled the rest up on my phone and I watched it from there.
Wow.
You can judge me for that. I hate doing that, but you know what? I could not focus on the movie. I couldn't even watch it. It was getting unwatchable at that point. I couldn't even understand what they were saying because there was so much talking.
Yeah.
And I know I've had experience where I've told, employees at the theater, hey, these people are talking throughout. You got to tell them to, fucking stop, shut it down.
Yeah.
But the people working at the theater, they're not any better. They don't give a shit. They don't want to do that. They don't want to confront a bunch of people to tell them to stop talking. They're not going to kick them out or anything. They're just going to make it worse. So I just left. And it's kind of my fault. I went in to a PG-13 horror movie in the middle of a Saturday where all these kids are off and they just want to do whatever and they don't give a shit about a movie. And that's also a problem with like the theater experience these days where like you can't really sit and enjoy a movie because you just have people talking and doing crap like that.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was unbelievable. But like, it was like the moment I was in that line buying tickets and I saw a bunch of kids buying those tickets for that movie, I just knew. I was like, this is going to get rough. And it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, full transparency from my side of the review, at least. Say what you will. I don't care. I don't think if I had watched this at home fully and like rented it at home or anything, it would have changed my thoughts on it.
No, my experience and same thing. Like I did debate going to see it again, because I wasn't fully in the headspace to watch it. So reason we haven't put out a new episode for a week or two.
It's been a week.
A week? Okay. The reason we missed last week, and we've missed a couple. I've missed a couple of the killer cocktails. I moved, so like my equipment has just been packed up. Just haven't been able to sit down and record. And I went to this movie right after like packing the last of my stuff, and I saw the very last showing at like 10 p.m. I think I had worked. I had worked that day, so I was already tired from work, tired from packing, and the movie itself is very slow in the beginning, and I think about 75% of the way through, I dozed off for maybe like 15-ish minutes. I saw it with Emma, so like she filled me in on like the little bit that I missed, which wasn't much, honestly. But I did want to those 15 minutes that it did miss. I was like, damn, is like a big thing happened, and I was like, I feel like I should go watch it again, but I don't think watching it again would have affected my view on it because I went into this movie expecting something and got, in my opinion, this isn't really a horror film. And I feel like that's what the trailers very much pushed. At the end of the
This is more of a thriller.
It's a thriller fantasy.
Which we're going to try. I want to say, let's be clear. Like, let's like not get too spoilerly for what exactly these things are, at least just yet. But yeah, it's pitched as one thing and it comes off as another, and it kind of comes out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it's like not in the fun like, oh, gotcha way. It's just kind of like okay, and like you just kind of keep going along with this movie.
Yeah. From
that point. I mean, I don't think there's any point in hiding it. I thought this movie was very boring.
Yeah.
Not great. I will say that doesn't make it a terribly made movie. I think I want to say this. I think the initial setup is actually really good. Mm-hmm. I actually was really, it is a little slow, but I was intrigued by what was going on, where this character is going. We got Dakota Fanning, who is, it's been a while since anyone's seen her really in a horror thriller film.
I remember
anybody's
seen her.
Yeah, well, she's been popping up a little bit here and there. This is like her first lead role.
Well, yeah.
She was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for like a scene, which, she was really good in that scene. I didn't even recognize her when I first saw that. And she was also in The Equalizer 3 opposite Denzel Washington.
All right.
She had a small role there. Not much to do, but she was good. It was just good seeing her again.
Yeah.
I remember did you ever watch Hide and Seek with Robert De Niro back in the day?
No.
Where it was her as a kid playing Robert De Niro's daughter, and they moved to a new house and stuff.
Mm-mm.
Did you ever see that? It was one of those like really big thrillers from back in like 2004, 2005, some point in that era.
Mm-hmm.
I remember really enjoying it as a kid. I'm afraid if I watched it now, it probably wouldn't hold up as well. But
yeah.
But yeah, I think that was the last horror themed film I saw her in, or thriller film, whichever you want to put it. And so it was just good seeing her in it. And I will say she's also good in the movie.
Yeah.
She's good. Everyone else is fine. The problem is not her. The problem I think here is the script. Everything else around these actors is fine. This like I said, the initial setup is really interesting. It's really fun. The atmosphere is actually, I like the look of the film. The forest itself looks really cool, really creepy. Kind of almost felt like a video game level. Kind of almost what I wanted from The Strangers Chapter 1 with that atmosphere in that film. That movie has no atmosphere. This one at least is a step up from it by a long shot.
Yeah.
Like, wow. And I will say, like, there's some pretty cool imagery here. Like, I will say the directing for the most part is fairly solid for a newcomer. It doesn't fully work, which we'll get into, but it is solid for a newcomer. I don't know if that has to do with M. Night, kind of guiding her throughout the process and directing, but it was, some cool imagery, some cool atmosphere. And those are pretty much my positives I got for it.
While I will say I was bored, and I do think it is kind of a boring film, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a bad film.
Nah, it's kind of weird to call it a bad film.
Yeah, it's just it's not great. It just doesn't.
It's very silly, honestly.
Yeah. It's just
by the end.
Yeah. The last scene is like, fuck. But it is very boring. But like you said, visually it's a great film. There are shots that I love, like when I didn't think we were going to see the Watchers at all.
If we did, I thought it was going to be at the very end. You actually do get to see them fairly early on.
Yeah, and when you do see them, that scene just like that did creep me the fuck out. Like
that was an awesome shot. I feel like I know what shot you're talking about too.
Yeah. That was the best part of the movie, honestly.
Yeah.
And it's a very short scene, but it's a good one.
And you think like something's gonna go down, like it's gonna get real tense, and then it kind of doesn't.
Yeah.
It just kind of goes back to the same old bullshit it has been doing the whole time.
But I did have issues with like characters and your issue with like dumb decisions in like Strangers Chapter 1 was kind of what happened here.
Yeah, big time. And I know this is based on a book.
Is it?
It's by this author A.M. Shine, based on their novel from I know, right? A.M. Shine. What the fuck? That's definitely a stage name. Yeah, and I'm sure the story playing out really cool reading it. if like I feel like everyone's gonna say that. Like, obviously, you can't. It's hard to compare a book to a movie and say like, oh no, like the movie did it better. It's rare that a movie does it better than the book. But I can imagine the story playing out really fun and cool in a book, and as a film, it just comes off more silly, especially by the third act of this movie, which just goes off the fucking rails, and it just gets really. It feels like the Lord of the Rings Return of the King, where it has like 5 different endings. That's this movie's ending. The whole third act is like 5 different endings, and it's like, can you please stop? Like, are we seriously going to still keep going here? All right. Yeah, and the problem is, like, I would have enjoyed that if this movie wasn't so predictable, but I felt like I saw everything coming a mile away. With certain character motivations and the decisions they make, it's like I called it. It was like so generic. Yeah. And it also sucks because, like, these characters are just not that interesting. I feel like you don't know anything about them by the time the movie ends. You maybe know the most about Dakota Fanning's character, and even then you don't really latch onto her too much.
Yeah.
But towards the last half of the film, you're just kind of like going through the motions with these characters. Half these characters, honestly, they feel, I don't know, maybe it's the actor's fault. They seem like they're asleep half the time. Like when, you see it in the trailer, Dakota Fanning, she ends up going to, this area behind us, which is, they refer to it as the coop, where they are forced to stay in there because at night the Watchers come out. And they start to look at them through this through this mirror. Now you see that they can't look on the outside, but the Watchers can look inside. And they're studying them for what reason? We will tell you. It's really fucking weird. And it's also something I don't fully understand myself. I'm going to be completely honest. Again, goes with the viewing experience. And it's cool at first, but like I said, it just gets predictable and boring, and it doesn't really go anywhere all that interesting.
Yeah.
What was it? Yeah, I don't know. It just started losing steam towards the end for me. And again, the issue is just like, movie, please pick an ending, stick with it, don't keep going. I'm sure it's what happened in the book, but
the issue and do you want to, since it's fairly new, do you want, like, when do you want to dip into like spoiler-ish?
I guess we can delve into spoilers now, because the issues I have with the movie are like really towards the end and stuff. But yeah, for those that are interested, I'm just going to say this. It's pretty clear. We weren't big fans of this movie. It's not a terribly made movie. I do think there was a lot of potential with the idea. Yeah. But I don't think Ashana Shyamalan really knew how to make it work. And we'll get into why. So if you're interested and you don't really care to see this movie, stick around and hear what we got to say. If you want to watch the movie, go check it out. Mainly at a time where there's no teenagers, and then come back and finish off this review with us. What did you want it to get into? Full spoiler alert.
What I am going to do, actually, my computer's dying. Give me a second.
No!
Yeah, hold up.
Okay, so, yeah, we're professional here. No. Yeah, I guess I'm going to take this time while Jerry gets his laptop to talk about the issue with movie theaters and the going experience. A lot of people, I know I'm not the only one that's kind of sick of these issues that are going on with theaters. I mean, Ellie, I think even these studios are kind of understanding it, which is why a lot of these movies are going to be like releasing on video on demand super early or on streaming services super early. I mean, like, I guarantee you this movie is going to be available to rent from your PlayStation, your TV, whatever system you stream movies on, within 2 to 3 weeks. Depends. Yeah, because I don't see this movie making a lot of money. And it was the same issue like with Abigail. That movie came out back in April, early April, and then it ended up coming out video on demand within 2 to 3 weeks. And it was the same issue with Lisa Frankenstein. So yeah, I'm kind of worried about movie theaters in the future. I mean, I think they'll still be around, but I don't think they'll be as relevant as watching movies at home. It's just a lot easier. No one wants to go out anymore because they don't want to deal with people talking. They don't want to deal with the pricey concession stands. They want to pause the movie if they want to go make some food or go make a drink or use the restroom. So we will see how what's going to happen with theaters, but I feel like that's going to be a topic for another day. Jerry's back.
The fuck are you rambling on about?
I was talking about experience. It's not so fun to go to the movies anymore. Then a lot of studios are kind of recognizing it. Like I was talking about how like this movie's probably going to be available to rent from home within 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh,
probably at some point at the end of this month. It was the same issue that happened with Lisa Frankenstein. Yeah. It was the same issue that happened with Abigail, because these movies don't make money and because no one wants to go to the theater because they don't want to deal with annoying teenagers and all that crap. Or the overpriced concession stand, or just getting out of the house. People don't like leaving home. They like sitting on their couch and watching movies and streaming them from there.
Tickets are expensive just alone. Like 2 people is like just tickets is like $30.
Yeah. I remember when they had $5 movie tickets on Tuesdays, and now like that's barely a thing depending on where you go.
That's still a thing like where I am, but it's like $10 a ticket.
Yeah. No. When I lived in Denver, the Alamo had Tuesday tickets for like $7 or $8.
Yeah.
Which was always nice. I always win on those days because I was like, hell yeah, like why not?
Yeah.
But yeah, I was saying also that's just a topic for another time, just issues with the theaters, because yeah, it's like I love the movie theater, but I feel like I just, after, especially with experience like this movie, it's like I feel like it makes me want to go less and less now. And that's saying a lot because that's one of my favorite places to be at.
Yeah. But back to what we were saying. Getting into spoilers. Character-wise,
everyone sucks.
Basically, like, I didn't really care about any of them.
At all.
And they were just dumb. Like, her.
Let me ask you this. Oh, okay. No, what were you going to say?
So I don't even remember her name. I don't remember any of their names, actually.
Oh, man, I don't.
Dakota. No, I do. Dakota Fanning is Mina, right? Mina. This fucker is Daniel, and I have an issue with this fucker.
I hate Daniel.
Her name is like Meredith or something like that. It's something with an M. It's another M.
That's already not a good sign if you can't remember any of these fucking people you're supposed to be following.
Her name, I don't remember her name at all.
Madeline,
that's what it is.
And the other chick is Sierra. Sierra.
Kira. It's spelled Sierra, but they pronounce it Kira.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
The chick from Barbarian. There. Much better movie.
Oh, is that her?
Yeah, that's the main chick from Barbarian.
Oh, I knew she was familiar. Her husband's name I can't tell you, and that's the issue that I have. Her husband has been missing for like 6 days.
John. That's his name. It's John.
Her husband John has been missing for 6 days because he went out to hunt in the forest, I think. He's just been gone.
I think he went out to go get help or escape and try to find help.
But
I believe so.
He's been missing for almost a week, and by the time Dakota Fanning arrives at the coop, and Kira is so insistent that he's still alive to the point where she almost decides to kill everybody over it. Granted, they find like a camera, and they set it up outside the building, and the Watchers are kind of like skinwalkers, essentially.
Yeah.
That's what I thought they were. Where I thought it was going to be a Skinwalker film, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." Nope,
Yeah.
that's not where they went at all.
Nope.
Yeah, they should have stopped at Skinwalkers. And granted,
Yeah.
this is a base. Now that I know this
Yeah,
is based
or
on
they
a
should
book,
not have said shit. They should have just kept their mouth shut.
they should have
and
just
they
kept it
shoulda just
blind. Yeah,
Get weird, make people think, make people try to figure out from there, make up something new.
yeah. But the Watcher picks up the camera and they've transformed into her husband. So it is very convincing. They have his voice and everything, but like,
Yeah, but the memories, they don't have the memories
Yeah.
of these people that they're imitating, so that's a dead giveaway.
they know how the Watchers work though, and she's still like, nope, that's him. He survived in the forest for 6 days, and that's it. That comes into play later when Daniel, this fucking guy, who's annoying as shit throughout the entire movie.
Very annoying.
Um,
Like, he's trying to come off as funny, and he's not.
No. He dies because they see John again, and he's like, "Oh, I have to help him." Like, you didn't just, like, did you fucking forget what just happened?
Okay, I thought that was someone else. I didn't think that was John.
Was it
No, I think you are right. That is John, but for some reason I thought that was like his brother or something.
Oh, okay.
I thought he had mentioned something in conversation that he had a brother, but then now thinking about it, wait, that didn't make sense. His brother didn't come into the forest with them.
Yeah, like he thinks it's John, and he's like, "I'm gonna go help John." What? But like we've been through this already. Like very
Yeah,
fucking
and like they've
recently.
established it that like these watchers will get into your head.
Yeah, and
Like, I don't understand why he can't grasp that.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Maybe they were just two in his head. I don't know.
Don't get me wrong. I'm very glad he died.
Yeah.
Because he was irritating the fuck.
If I
out of
wanted
me.
anyone to die, it was him.
Yeah.
I'd rather John live. He was
Honestly.
only in the first 3 minutes.
Yeah, we don't know shit about John.
Yeah.
But it was just such a stupid fucking like. It was just a very stupid character decision that couldn't be justified. Like, stupid character decisions are fine to an extent.
Yeah.
Because, like I've said, you need your protagonist needs to make mistakes to make their end goal harder and progress the story forward. Give them more challenges. But there's a point where it's just too dumb to where it's like that wouldn't logically happen.
Not at all. No.
Because I think when the Watchers were impersonating John outside the door, wasn't he warning her like, "Hey, no, I don't think that's John"? Did he speak up, or was it just Madeline?
I think he tried stopping her, but only when Madeline said something.
Okay.
homegirl.
I remember he had like something to do with it. Like he was like, "Hey, maybe not," or some shit like that.
Yeah. Well, I think if I remember correctly, I think he was actually almost convinced himself, and Madeline was like, "Why are you like, guys? Do not pick right now to stop trusting me."
Yeah.
Which I'll get into that character in a bit because there's a lot of stuff with her that doesn't make any damn sense at all.
But yeah, that was kind of like my
Yeah.
other than it just being boring. My major issue was
Character decisions, and
just
the
dumb.
fact that you don't even know anything about them by the end. You don't care about them.
yeah, there's no reason to feel for them. There's no reason to feel for his death. And maybe it's different in the book.
Maybe they establish a lot more. Like you can get in, with the book, you can get into characters' heads a lot more and stuff like that.
But we're not here
And
to talk about the book.
No, maybe one day.
No.
Never. But yeah, we're here to talk about this movie. Now, Daniel is, one character I have a problem with, but Madeline, that lady My God. Now, I have not seen this actress before except for the Texas Chainsaw movie that was on Netflix. Um,
Is that the one with Alexandra Daddario?
no, the one
Uh,
on Netflix that came out like last year
oh, the new. Oh, okay.
or 2 years ago. I don't remember exactly when. Um, Not the greatest, still kind of fun, I think.
Mm.
And don't watch it. Yeah, she. Now look, right about like 10 minutes. I want to say 10 minutes. I want to say like a little bit at the halfway point of this movie. I started having my suspicions of her. I already was suspicious of her from the beginning.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't trust her at all. And about halfway through, I started to. Once you see that John was being impersonated by a watcher, I started to suspect that she was a watcher. That she was like some sort of weird, different hybrid that just managed to get it right. But then, of course, the movie was trying to throw me off, saying like, "Oh no, um, watchers can only come out at night and stuff like that. They can't be roaming around during the day. They can't leave the forest." And I guess when they get to that very exposition heavy scene in the basement, which by the way, there's a basement in that coop and they're just discovering it now. Why?
Yeah,
Where the hell? What do you mean? You didn't move everything before when you first got there? Like it's shit with that movie that doesn't make sense unless she's deliberately hiding that information, which also wouldn't make sense.
because her
Um
goal is to get out. Like,
yeah. I guess it kind of makes sense, Like I don't remember how they got down there. Was she the one that found it or did somebody else find it?
dude, I don't even fucking
Oh yeah,
remember.
you fell asleep. Never mind.
No, I wasn't asleep at that part, but I don't remember who opens it.
Yeah. Come on, Wikipedia, help me out here. I feel like I'm treating this movie like shit, but I don't care. Um, yeah, it just says the group discovers an underground study that is within the coop, and that's where they get information from this man known as the professor, who I couldn't tell you for the life of me why he's out there studying these things. I mean, I get it. He believes like he can. One, he says he believes that he can bring back the dead with these creatures, but it's like, where do you get off on that idea, dude? Like, they're not the same person, no matter if they look like them or not. I don't
Yeah.
understand that part. Again, I probably have to rewatch it to figure that out. Um, but I feel like there's not going to be an answer in that.
Yeah.
At least, like, really thinking about it. Um, but yeah, he's like was studying them for a while, and then there was one that was in the basement with him in the bunker, and um, they were trying to help nurture them and shape them to be the perfect shapeshifter that they are. I'm having a headache trying to explain this, dude. Like, I don't know. Yeah, he was just pretty much just studying with this one watcher, and that's when I started having my suspicion that it was homegirl Madeline. This one, um, and sure shit, I was right by the end, because after Daniel dies, the three ladies they get on a boat and they escape, and the watchers are all watching them. It's a cool little shot with all the watchers kind of standing there. Um, very CGI heavy, but still looks cool. And I love the backhanded compliments I give this movie. um, and yeah, and then they managed to get on a bus, and just like that, they're out scot free. And I was like, and at that point, that's when I kind of left the theater and I just watched the rest on my phone because I just had no interest in the movie and dealing with the chaos. And um, yeah, that's when it just started like really slowing down
So
a
yeah,
lot more.
they escape, and Dakota Fanning goes to this college where the professor used to be at. It's been like 15
That's
years
right.
since he's been down there, right?
Yeah, like since the 90s.
It's been a long ass fucking time. And she goes,
No one's touched his office?
no one's fucking touched his office. In fact, they've like fucking like kept it like,
Yeah,
you
you
know.
can see the dust from where they left it. Like, no, actually, no. There's not even much.
That's
dust,
what I'm
so that
saying,
means
like,
someone kept it clean.
so someone's going in there fucking like housekeeping it.
Oh,
And she just goes in. I think she says like he's her uncle or something like that. And they're just
yeah. And they're like, oh,
yeah, they're like, go right ahead. That's the second door on the left. And
I
like,
got a key right here. Hold up.
yeah, like fucking. It's so simple, but they've kept his shit like fucking protected like the Mona Lisa.
Yeah, they mentioned it in the movie. They're like, it hasn't been touched since he left.
What?
Like, why?
Yeah. And she just waltzes in and finds some documents, and these things, they're not skinwalkers, the Watchers, they're fairies.
Yeah, they are fairies, engineers of some sort, ancient beings
Literally
from a
could
different
have
time
just
period.
I don't understand yeah, so like the fairies used to live with humans and they used to coexist, and everything was peaceful, and then at one point humans were like, hey, you guys are fucking weird, and they like pushed them into these burrows where they live underground, which there is a scene like Dakota Fanning it's just like
Yeah, are you all right?
yeah, it was just like a loud ass beep.
Oh,
She goes into one of the burrows, and you're expecting something kind of fucking like cool to happen in the burrow. Not really.
something almost cool happens.
Yeah, something almost cool, and then it's like, nope. And then that's kind of it. Like we don't really go into the burrows again.
Yeah. I thought they were going to explore it or go underground a little more and stuff like that, but probably best not to if they're all living down there.
Yeah, it's very quick. But the fairies have now been banished, and their Madeline is the professor kept a fairy underground to study it, and it took the persona of his dead wife.
Yeah.
And Madeline has been in this coop trying to escape the woods because she wants to live amongst humans again, or even like
No, she wants to take them out.
that. Yeah, that's what it is. She wants to like she wants fairies to reign again, but Madeline herself is part human. She's a hybrid, so she's not full fairy, which is why she can walk out during the daytime, while the others cannot.
Yeah.
It's
a fucking stretch, man.
it's fucking weird. And then like
Yeah.
you could have just been like, hey, they're skinwalkers, and that's why they transform, and that would have been fucking cool, and that would have been so easy to explain. But you added this lore of the fairies, and what gets me is the scene where, first of all, the final, like the big fight, she's fucking Dakota Fanning up. She's whooping her ass.
Listen, I have to tell you something before you continue with this scene.
Okay.
So you know how I said I watched the rest on my phone?
Yeah.
Okay, so whatever the person recording it kind of fucked me, because after she leaves the professor's office, she goes to talk to I already forgot her name. What's her name? Kira?
Yeah.
Kira. She goes to talk to Kira, and then the next scene, it just cuts. It cuts a big chunk of like a few minutes, and it's just Dakota Fanning staring at Dakota Fanning, having this deep conversation. And I was like, no way, her sister's alive, her sister's here, no way. And then I had to read it, and I was like, oh. It's just
yeah, no, it's Madeline. She's fucking her up. She's like throwing her against the wall
Madeline.
and shit.
Just transform into people.
Yeah, she transforms. And Dakota Fanning, like, to save herself, she's like, the professor never told you about you, because Madeline doesn't know that she's part human. And she starts revealing this truth to Madeline and talking to her. She's giving her this, like, motivational speech. And And Madeline starts to like
Go like,
her
I've never thought of it.
my issue was like her reaction was like she was the fucking Wicked Witch of the West, like melting. It was such a weird reaction to just words.
It was very cheesy.
Yeah,
because it cuts to the scene where like after she like kind of goes back and forth between switching faces and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
Which I don't know why that. Yeah, she starts like the words are physically hurting her, and she starts going through like her face starts morphing into these different people.
Yeah, she's like too much emotion. What is this?
Yeah, and I'm like, what the fuck is? Did you get water thrown on you? Like I don't understand.
Yeah. That would have made more sense.
But then she goes into her fairy form, which is this very tall, lanky creature, which is the scene we were talking about is when you see that watcher. It's fucking horrifying in that one scene. And you see Madeline again, she jumps onto the roof and she grows fucking wings. She releases wings and just flies off. And I almost laughed.
Why didn't she do that earlier? Like, does she not know the way out? I'm confused.
It's just
like she could fly up and
could have just flown out of the woods.
Oh, the road's there. It's just it's
like I don't. It's like trying to run away in Camp Crystal Lake, having a car, and you have the car keys, but you're just waiting
like,
for that.
Just go to the shed.
yeah, like it just.
Yeah, no, it falls apart so much by the end. It makes no damn sense. It's like it felt like they just were making scenes up as they went, if that makes sense.
And then the very end, it's like a voiceover of Mina talking, Dakota Fanning, talking, and she's like, I still think Madeline watches me. I see her sometimes staring at me, as this person or like a little girl. And the last shot is this little girl looking up at like Dakota Fanning's sister's house, like through the window. Why is she watching her? I don't what the fuck.
You're free.
Yeah, you got what you wanted. Like, I don't get it. Yeah, fucking you can go wherever the fuck you want. Like, why are you still following this girl?
I don't get it. It's like she's like a lost puppy. She doesn't know where to go. She's just like, oh, I'm just gonna follow this person.
Like, fucking honestly, like it was just
none of it makes any damn sense. Also, what was the little girl like running around like the forest
the
with
woods?
them? Like
I can't fucking tell you. I don't know. She starts Dakota
that was
Fanning,
popping up a lot. I thought that was gonna come into play, and it just doesn't.
It fucking doesn't. Dakota Fanning starts seeing this little girl in the woods, and they just don't, unless it's like Dakota Fanning as a kid and reminding her of like, how she feels guilty for the death of her mom. But like, I don't think that was her as a little girl. It didn't look like her.
Not at all.
So I don't get it. That is another problem I had. The scene, her mother's death.
Yeah.
It's so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
So Dakota Fanning feels guilty because she blames herself for her mom's death because when she was a kid.
Yeah, very young kid. Very young kid. She is now a full-grown woman here.
Yeah, they're going for a drive, which as a little kid, she was a little shit. They're going for a drive, and Dakota Fanning puts her hands on the window, and her mom starts to raise the window. She sees the window going up. She doesn't like let go of the window, and for some fucking reason.
That's on that kid.
And her fingers, the window closes, and her fingers like crush between the window and the window hole. And instead of her mom being like, oh no, and lowering the window so she can get her fingers back and stop crushing them, because that happened once. Like when I was a kid, I had my finger in the window and, my mom closed it, but like the window was already like fairly kind of close and I just like poked them through. And then my mom just like raised it a little bit and crushed my fingers. And she just immediately I was like, ow. And she immediately like lowered the window, which is what should have happened. But yeah. Dakota Fanning's mom turns around and it's like, what are you doing? And just like starts like tapping her and stops looking at the road. And they get into a car accident because she's not looking. Like, just fucking lower the window, my guy. Like, it was such a dumb death. Like,
it's goofy. It is silly. It is so silly.
It could have easily been like anything else.
Literally anything else. And let's say I've never lost a parent. But to claim that you believe you were a terrible person for that much time into your adult life, I think is a little ridiculous.
She Bruce Wayne's the fuck out of it, yeah.
Yeah, like, you act like your mom got shot in an alley and you're trying to get vengeance.
You didn't even turn into a cool person for it.
No, dude, you just put on a wig and then go out and meet guys, and that's about it. That's the extent of that.
And tried to fight Man-Bat, like.
Yeah. That would be a lot more fun movie than what we got.
This movie is just Batman if he just fought the villains but never turned into Batman. Like,
straight up. Yeah, no, this is a very silly movie. It was very disappointing. It's not a bad one. It's not a terribly made movie.
No.
I don't see myself watching this again. I feel like if my theater was completely empty and I was by myself, I would have the same exact thoughts.
Yeah.
If you were awake, fully 100% hopped on coffee and had like not worked so much, you probably would have had the same thoughts.
Yeah.
This movie is just very disappointing. The trailers made it seem like it was going to be really cool, really intense, and I felt no tension at all whatsoever. There was only that one brief scene where like Madeline and Mina were outside.
Yeah.
And they're stuck with the Watchers out there, and I thought we were going to do a lot more, but no, they just end up being able to run back in to the coop. So all tension is gone.
One of the rules of the coop is that you can't go out at night because that's when the Watchers are walking, and if you run into a Watcher, you will die. So Madeline and Mina get locked out, and they're hiding, and they see the Watchers, and the Watchers stand up, and it's this tall, lanky, horrifying creature. Excuse me. And it's such a cool scene. Nothing fucking happens after. They just they run back and they bang on the door and they're like, "Hey," and then I think that's when Dakota Fanning is like,
"Yeah."
She's like, "I'm a terrible person," or something like that, and she goes, "But Daniel," because Daniel locks him out because Daniel's like, "I'm tired of." He gets mad at Madeline, and he's like, "You're fucking lying to us," or whatever. And she's like, "I'm a terrible person because I killed my mom, but you're not a terrible person. You don't have to do this. You can let us in." And he's like, "Yeah.
You know what? You're right."
What? You don't know him.
Yeah. You know what? Thinking about it now, I don't blame those fucking high schoolers for talking throughout this whole movie. This movie's boring. Anything else is more interesting, because you know what? I think I remember that scene where they're stuck outside and like the Watchers are like all out there. Everyone shut up in that moment. and then when it came back to the same old bullshit, everyone's just talking and talking again, and your homeboy's just walking around the fucking front row like an asshole. And I was like, you know what? Thinking about it now, I don't blame you at all. This movie sucked.
Yeah, it's very boring. If you're gonna watch it, I would I would just wait to stream it.
Wait to stream it. Don't rent it. Stream it. It'll be on some platform soon enough.
Yeah. Don't drop $15 a ticket to fucking fall asleep.
Don't drop $13 on what used to be a $5 Tuesday on this movie. What would you give this movie?
I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, that's mine, honestly, and that's kind of being nice.
I was deciding of a 4 or 5 out of 10. I think I landed on a 5 out of 10 because I do think if somebody was like, hey, I've never seen this, I may give it another shot, but like probably I would be like, are you sure? I'm like, suggest another film, but like,
yeah,
if it came down to it, I do think I would sit through it again and maybe try and understand a little better and get a better viewing of the film. But it, like you said, even if I do see it again, I don't think my opinion on it is going to change very much.
Yeah, I'm giving it 5 out of 10 to just be fair because it's like, dude, I left and I finished it off in the shittiest way possible to finish a movie.
Yeah.
And my experience was just not that great. But, and also because I think Shyamalan actually knows how to make a good-looking movie.
Yeah.
I just don't think this script was it. I don't think the story was it. I would like to see her do something else. I just hope it's a lot more interesting story, and I guess just a lot more fun. At least be fun. This movie wasn't fun at all.
Yeah, no.
It's very dreary and just slow, and pacing's off, and execution galore. Like there is just like exposition galore, not execution. Exposition heavy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm curious to see what else she can do, directing wise. We'll see what the future holds for her.
Yeah.
But yeah, watchers, stream it at home.
Yeah, definitely.
But do you have anything else you want to add to the discourse for this film?
No.
I think we're good. I'm good. That was our review for The Watchers. Once again, if you like that, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Let us know down below, what did you think of this movie? Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? Did you read the book, and did you think the book is actually better than the movie? I'm sure it is. I can't imagine it not being. If it was so popular to get adapted, I'm pretty sure it's a pretty interesting read.
Yeah.
Did you have annoying people in your theater and you couldn't focus on the movie? Did you doze off a little bit halfway through the movie and you woke up to your partner reminding you, hey, this happened? Let us know down below in the comments what you thought. Once again, I am Brandon.
I am Jerry.
Stay spooky.